Hi, I'm Alan Lamb. I'm the designer of the game of Pride and Policy. This is actually the second game in a series. The first one you might be familiar with is called The Power and Glory. This is the second game of Pride and Policy. Just made this video to give you a quick run through on how do you play the game. Thanks. Okay, so this is the board shortly after being set up. I'm actually setting this up as if it was a four-person game. It'll play up to 5, but I wanted to point out something for a four-person game. There's blue is the 5th color that you won't see here, other than I'm going to place one of the tokens in this. This is called a policy location. I'll go into it more in a bit. But basically, with a four-person game, one of these little areas is going to be out of play. With a three-person game, 2 of them would be out of play. But the other 4 players, white, yellow, red, and green, are going to be playing in this little game that I'm going to be showing you. Before I go into what you do on your turn and so forth, I wanted to talk about some high-level concepts in the game. You'll notice in the middle there's a map. It's the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal and Spain, and it's divided into 5 regions. So those are these colored regions. Right here you got sort of a white area, blue, brown, green, and pink. Each one of those regions is divided into either 5 or 7 territories. You can probably see that there's 5 territories right there. There's also 8 political issues in the game, and you'll see they'll be represented a few times. First, you'll have these are called issue tokens. Notice there's 8 colors of them. You'll also see them represented in these tracks going around the side of the board that is called the issue tracks. And once again, you'll see them represented in these little octo boxes, which are found one each in each of the territories. Okay, so each of these political issues are kind of paired up with polar opposites. Black and white are polar opposites. You can see here on the issue tracker, black and white are opposites. You got red and green, yellow and purple, orange and blue. They are opposing issues. The little octoboxes in each territory, that represents the issue that particular territory cares about. This territory right here has a black octobox. They care about the black issue, which is expansionism, as it turns out. The opposite one is isolationism, white. Okay. So the next concept I want to show you is court. That's kind of represented here on the left. As you advance in the game, you're going to be moving your pawn up in court. You actually win the game by reaching the final position in court. So that's your ultimate goal. And I'll go into how you do that in just a bit. Okay, so on your turn, you're going to do a couple of things. First off, you got a bag here. The bag has a bunch of these issue tokens in it. At random, you're going to reach in and you grab 2 more. I got a white one and a blue one, and add them to your supply. And then you're going to take 2 actions. And there's 4 different types of actions. You can take the same action twice, or 2 different actions in any order. It doesn't really matter. But there's 4 different types of actions. Okay, the first one is moving up in court. So to do that, basically you're going to turn in these tokens that you've been collecting in the game. And you have to turn in enough to move to the next space. It might be a little hard to see, but the next space right here has a 1 in it. That means I basically have to turn in issue tokens totaling 1. Well, not 1 issue token, but a value of 1. These issue tokens have values that change throughout the game. That's what these things on the side indicate. If this little marker was here on the 1 red spot, a red token would be worth 1 point. Green ones, incidentally, are worth 0. So if that were the situation right here with a red 1, I could exchange 1 red token to move up 1 spot. Now the next spot is a 3, and so now I have to pay in 3 to move up. So I couldn't exchange just 1 red. I could exchange perhaps a red, a white, and a blue if, say, it was like that. Or if red was up to 3, well, then a single red would do it. These get progressively higher, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15. So it gets a little harder to move up as the game goes on. But, like I say, that's how you win the game. So once you move up to the 15, you've won the game. Okay, the next kind of action you can do is called spreading influence. These territories have a particular issue that they care about. They can kind of spread the issue that they care about to neighboring territories. Now you can't just do this however you want. You have a little bit of a limited ability to do this. If you notice up here, it might be hard to see, but there are three of these guys left over after you fill out the whole board. They go up here, and in this case 2 of them happen to be green. The other one is white. So green and white are my choices for spreading influence if I wanted to do that. Let's say, for example, I wanted to spread white from here to a neighboring territory. Well, basically, I take this white guy, and I put him there, and take the purple guy that was there, and move him up there. So that's an action. I can spread influence. So white has spread over to there. And now the purple one, which was here, is up here, and he's now available to be spread in future turns. Okay, the next kind of action is kind of the heart of the whole game. It's called legislation. What you're doing here is you're going to take one of the tokens you have, and you're going to lay it down in one of these policy locations. This guy, remember from the beginning, is out of place. I can't do that, but I can lay it down somewhere else. So I'll do Portugal. I'll lay it down in Portugal. And when I do that, let's just say I'm the green player, I have a choice. I'm going to take one of these nobles, and I'm going to put them in one of 2 locations. Either I'm going to place them right here. There's little numbered spaces going around each policy location. You put it in the lowest numbered one. Or I can place it in a territory. Now, the quick answer for why you would do one versus the other. If you put them around here, basically you're gambling that the policy is going to pass and that you're going to want to take spoils when it does. When you're playing it in here, you're going to help ensure that it passes or possibly try to get it to fail, because sometimes a policy will actually work against you and you want it to fail. So that begs the question, how does a policy pass or fail? Well, each territory in a region is going to vote for the policy or against it. They indicate that by either standing or laying down. That they all start laying down, so that there's no support for it at the beginning. But let's pick something other than red to make it a little more interesting. Let's pick blue. Let's say I put a blue one in here. Now I got 2 territories that have a blue issue. They're going to stand up as soon as I put that blue token in there to support this policy. Now, if I were to put an orange one in there, orange, remember, is the opposite of blue, they're going to sit right back down. Well, they're not going to support anymore because it helps their cause as much as hurts their cause as much as it helps it. But the idea, if you want to get the policy to pass, is that you put things in there that you can get some support for. In this case, a blue and a white one will get 4 of these 7 territories to support it. So that's a policy that can pass. So what happens? Okay, I guess I need to talk about what triggers a vote. There are 3 things that can trigger a vote. First, if this gets completely filled up, it wouldn't necessarily be filled with 1 player. It could be several players. If this gets completely filled up, that'll trigger a vote. Another thing that'll trigger a vote, if you play in the territory, and I forgot to tell you what that means. I'll explain that right now. When you play in a territory, you're basically going to lock that territory's vote at that moment in time. You're going to lock it in. So let's just say I locked in white. Even if now later if I play a black token, or 2 more black tokens, or 3 more black tokens, it's not going to change this territory's vote. He's going to stick to voting for it. Or against it. You can lock in the vote against it, however you want. So now the other way you can trigger a vote is if enough pawns are out here to lock in territories to guarantee that the bill is either going to pass or fail. And then the third way is the last action you can take, and that is to force a vote. There has to be at least 3 tokens in there, and if there's at least 3, you can just use one of your actions to force a vote, and then it'll be voted on then. And voting is fairly simple. Either you have more territories standing up than laying down, or the other way around. If they're more standing, then it passes. Otherwise, it fails. So if it passes, you look at the tokens that were in the policy and you change these trackers one position for each one in here. In this case, I got a black and a white, so net result is 0. But the blue one will advance the blue marker 1. So that makes blue tokens worth more. The other thing that will happen is when a policy passes is anybody who is sitting around here gets to take a spoil. There's 2 ways you can do that, and it goes in the order that you put in there. So this guy's going to go first. He can either take one of these tokens and just add it to his supply, or the other thing he could do is, it's going to be hard to see, but there's these little spots on each issue here. They can place it there. It has a +1 there. In this case, I placed it on the yellow +1. From now on, whenever I turn in yellow tokens, they're worth 1 more than whatever it says. So if it says it's worth 2, I got the +1, so it's actually worth 3. Even if this is way over here, normally, when this is way over here on the purple 8, normally yellows would be worth nothing. Because I got the +1, they're actually worth 1. So that gives you kind of a long-term affinity for a particular issue. So that's a nice strategy you can use, is to build up an affinity for a particular issue, and then try to get those bills passed, get lots of those tokens, and exchange those in. Okay, so in a nutshell, you want to get tokens, you want to make them worth something. You do that by putting them in policy locations where they're going to pass, and you want to turn them in to move up in court. And the whole time you want to prevent your opponents from doing the exact same thing. So if your opponent's really invested in red, well, maybe you want to get some green policies to pass to knock down red so that they can't easily advance in court. Well, that's pretty much it. It's not that complicated a game. There's a lot of parts to it, but it's fun. I encourage you to check it out. Read the rules. There's I'm sure some rules I've skipped over, but take a look at the rules, and if you like, pick it up. It's a good game. Thanks.